There's been a major change in MLB this season. When you're watching MLB, you might be wondering, what's going on? Something's different. Something doesn't feel right. It's because there's robot umpires, Mitchell. Robot umpires. What's next? A frickin' robot pitcher? That's what I got to say. So first time ever they got robot umpires. Already we got teams cheating using them. The Brewers got caught cheating, trying to game the system. There's going to be a lot of little gray area with this system. Maybe some ways to game the system. Maybe some ways. Some players might get worse. Some players might get better. So essentially, players can request a challenge of a ball and a strike they feel the umpire got wrong. And when they do, a graphic displaying the results is then transmitted over a 5G network from T-Mobile's Advanced Network Solutions. It's very interesting. ABS, the automatic ball strike challenge system, is powered by T-Mobile.
It sounds like we have an ad read while we're presenting this.
That's a good, actually, we do have an ad read later. I need to put that on the docket. Anyway, it's just funny how they have to advertise everything. But the ABS is powered by T-Mobile, and every single call will be over 5G by T-Mobile. So if they get a call wrong, you know who to blame. T-motherfucking Mobile.
It failed the other day.
It can glitch. That's something to keep in mind. It can glitch. So they're using Hawkeye cameras. It's very interesting. They've been using this shit forever. This isn't new. Since 2001, they used it in cricket. I don't know the rules of cricket. I guess they need an ABS system sometimes. They've been using it in cricket. They've been using it in tennis since 2006. They also use it in football. And by football, I mean soccer, if you're an American. They use it in the Premier League to see if a ball goes over the line. And now they use it in MLB. 12 AI-powered cameras are set up in each stadium. It's pretty insane how they do it, bro. There's just these cameras. They're all put in the stadium. They're looking at everyone. All these players are just, in some Orwellian state where they're all just being tracked and everyone's all movements. They could probably predict the players' periods if they were women just by tracking all their movements and the type of stuff, because they're constantly surveilled. Everyone in the crowd is also probably being surveilled. That's something that's crazy. If you go to MLB game, you go to MLB.com. You ever see this where you can see yourself in the stands?
Yeah, at Nats Park, every now and then they'll have like this ballpark cam provided by Geico. And then you can like zoom in on your section and you can see you in this weird moment of like in between innings. You kind of just like look bored.
Yes, you will see yourself, and you can also get in with your face now, face ticket. They'll scan your face and let you in. So MLB is really turning into communist China, but it's good because we're going to get the calls right. It's very good. So 12 AI-powered cameras across the stadium. 5 of them are pointed at the pitcher and the mound. Those are the ones in charge of the balls and strikes. 8 megapixel camera, which sounds like a very big camera. I don't know cameras, Jack. You know cameras. 8 megapixels?
I honestly don't know if that's a lot. It doesn't sound like a lot.
I feel like that's small. I thought
it's really
iPhones
small.
are like 48 megapixels.
I think this is like 32.
Okay, well, shut the fuck up. How about that? They capture 100 frames per second. That's good. Jack? 100 frames per second? That's a lot of frames or no?
It's not that much. It's enough to watch something in slow motion.
Okay.
But it's really not anything crazy.
Well, that's all you need, I guess. 7 cameras are 11 megapixel, even better, and 50 frames per second. And they combine all these cameras. These cameras generate 10 gigabytes of data per second. That's a lot of gigs. Admit that, Jack. Cameraman.
You said 10?
10 gigabytes of data per second.
Yeah, that's a lot. That is a lot.
That's a lot.
And that's all of the cameras combined, you think?
Yes.
Because it sounds like they're like low-end cameras. They're not even that high speed, though. That's interesting. I'm trying to look them up right now.
Well, what happens is they use these cameras in conjunction. So they're all these angles combined. They triangulate the footage and determine the exact space and time the ball is at any given moment. It predicts the flight path. That's how they know how far home runs are. If you notice, when the balls hit the stands, they stop going. Yet they'll still say they go 450 feet. You know that ball didn't go 450 feet. It's a projection. They're projecting it with the Hawkeye system. They can tell the release of the pitcher, the angle, the amount of inches a pitch moves, the speed of the bat. It measures the amount of times a ball spins from the time it leaves the pitcher's hand until it crosses the plate. So how, if it's such a small little pussy camera, like you're saying, Jack, how can it determine how many freaking times a ball spins from the hand to the glove?
Yeah, I don't know.
So that's a pussy camera?
No, it's not really what I'm saying. I guess what I'm saying is that it sounds like like a traffic cam. It's not high end, but it's capturing the data. It's taking pictures of a car going 80 miles an hour. Like it's doing what it has to do.
It's doing a lot.
I wouldn't use them to shoot the podcast.
That's why we pay him the big bucks. The guy knows cameras. So they've been using this in single A. Sorry, they've been using this since 2019. In the Atlantic League, it was used in 2019 for the first time. And then in 2021, it was used in single A. They realized these umpires at first, these first robot umps, were straight up dog crap. Because the official strike zone is technically, according to the rule book, the area over home plate from the midpoint between a batter's shoulders and the top of the uniform pants when the batter is in his stance and prepared to swing at a pitched ball. To a point just below the kneecap. So that's the official definition. Unfortunately, if you go by the official definition of the strike zone, it would be the biggest strike zone of all time. That is not the strike zone. So there really isn't a fucking determined strike zone, according to the rule book. At least the strike zone in the rule book is not the strike zone they really use. So when they first started using these cameras, they were calling pitches in the dirt strikes. Players were getting ejected for arguing with the robot. The real strike zone on calls made by umpires is more of an oval. If you watch like what umpires really call in games and what they're judged on, it's not really a rectangle or a square. It's kind of more like an oval shape. Like the corners aren't really consistently called strikes, as the rule book might say. So they had to widen the strike zone at one point. They eliminated 3.5 inches off the top of the zone. These poor guys in the Atlantic League in 2019, 3.5 inch. Imagine just you wake up one day and the strike zone is 3.5 inches smaller. That is a lot. And then from 2022 to 2025, they used it in the minor leagues. At first, also the system was every single pitch was called by a robot. They had to change that as well, because they realized the challenge system is more popular with players and fans. So for the first few seasons, it was just umpire gets a call in his ear and he makes the call according to the robot. Now the umpire makes the calls regular, and if a player wants to challenge, then we go to the robot. And that's what MLB is going to be using this year. If a player doesn't like a call, he can challenge. Sorry, I skipped a part. So for 3 years, they tweaked the zone, and now they feel like they have the perfect system. So they've been experimenting with this in the minor leagues. But what they were really trying to do is get the strike zone, the robot, to call the strike zone like a human would. It's interesting because we think we're going to get the perfect strike zone, but it's not really the case. We're actually trying to make the robots call it like regular umpires. Because like I said, if you called it like the rule book says, you're going to see pitches in the dirt be called strikes. You're going to be seeing pitches a little high in the letters be called strikes. And it's not going to be, I guess, aesthetically pleasing for the fan, and they're going to be upset about calls, and players are going to have to adjust their strike zones. So the MLB wants to make the strike zone stay exactly how it has been called, but 100% accurate, other than what has been. What is like the umpire's accuracy recently? Like 93% on balls and strikes?
Yeah, 93, 94. It's been increasing ever since they started tracking publicly whatever.
I think it went from like 88% calls were correct in like 2013 when they started this. And then in a little over a decade, they got up to 93%. So umpires are improving radically. But now we could probably get 100% because robots are the best. So here's how it's going to work in MLB. Umpire calls the balls and strikes as normal, no robot help. If a player doesn't like the call, he can challenge. Only a pitcher, catcher, and hitter can challenge. So people in the field cannot challenge. Umpires, coaches. Umpires definitely can't challenge. Coaches, managers, no challenging. Imagine that.
Could you imagine the umpire makes a call and goes up, taps his head, gets a challenge right away?
I mean, that actually kind of should be a thing. Because, I mean, how many times does an umpire make a call and immediately be like, ooh, I bet that happens a lot.
Yeah.
You know, you've heard umpires say, I fucked that one up. Sorry, dude. And they don't even see the replay. They just know. So maybe that's for 2027. We get an umpire's challenge. A my bad button on the top of the hat. Umpires can veto a challenge if they think that your decision was aided by other players or coaches in the dugout. So basically, you have to challenge this instantaneously. You have about 2 seconds to make the call. If you wait a little too long and umpires feel like you heard someone else tell you to challenge or someone else is helping you challenge, they can say that challenge doesn't count. If a catcher has already thrown the ball back to the pitcher and you challenge, that challenge does not happen. When you do challenge a call, the pitch is shown on the Jumbotron and everyone can see if the ball was a strike or not, and the call is either confirmed or reversed based on the robot. And this is very embarrassing for umpires. We saw an umpire this spring training, Jen Powell, miss a call right down literally you couldn't be more down the middle. Made a bad call, and then they show you in the whole, how you gotta, dude, they just put it on the biggest screen of all time, powered by T-Mobile, right down the middle. And you're just like, my bad, missed it. Right down the fucking middle. And then what did the other guy happen? You know
What?
The other guy happened on the umpire, spring training.
What?
The hot mic.
Oh yeah. One of the umpires, he got too hot. He was really hoping the call would be overturned, and it wasn't.
So I do feel for the umpires a little bit, bro, because they have to show their ass. If they miss a call, it's on there. And now there's this new thing with MLB. They're suggesting that the TV they don't want you to show the strike zone on TV. They're suggesting, they're not enforcing it, but for the past, I guess 10 years, that every single TV broadcast has a strike zone on the TV, right? So when you're watching at home, you can see if it's a ball or strike because the strike zone's right there. Umpires hate this shit, because it genuinely makes them look bad as fuck. Because if a ball is an inch outside, to us, it's like, how do you miss that? It's out of the zone. If you get rid of that box, try calling it without the box on TV. It's harder than it looks. So I don't know why they made that call, but MLB, I guess, they still gonna have the box, but they don't want you to have the ball.
I don't get it, because the games are already delayed in the ballpark. If you've ever been at a game and you have that TV above you, it's always like a second and a half delayed. And at that point, it's too late to challenge.
But I don't know if that's the reason why they're doing it. Because they are delaying it, I think, even more to avoid, an Astro situation where they got a buzzer in your shirt and they can buzz it if it's outside or not. With the TV delay, which you're right, they already had before because of the calling the strikes thing. So it seems like a moot point at that point. And obviously, if you're getting it from a TV broadcast, you're going to be like 15, 20 seconds behind. Granted, I just said you only got 2 seconds. So I think it's more of a umpires requested this thing.
But they're still going to see it at some point,
They're
They can
still
go
gonna
on the MLB app or whatever and see that the ball missed it by like 2 millimeters, and then they can chirp from the dugout.
It reminds me of cops like not wanting body cams. Like that's kind of it's like they're just trying to cover their own ass and I guess avoid scrutiny or something.
Yeah, if I was a cop, I wouldn't want a body cam either. Because I could pop off, dude.
Right.
And let people go.
These umps want to pop off.
No, because they want to let people go. That's why I would want one. Because I'm a compassionate cop.
All right, yeah. Absolutely.
I don't want a body cam because they're going to see all the crime I'm letting people getting away with. You know what I'm saying? A compassionate cop. Anyway, so, like I said, I did not say this yet. So anyway, each team only gets 2 challenges a game. That's another wrinkle. If you get a call reversed in your favor, obviously you get to keep your challenge. If you go into extra innings with no challenge, you get a new challenge each inning. So if you go into extra innings with 2 challenges, you keep 2 challenges. If you go into extra innings with 1 challenge, you still have 1 challenge. But if you go in with 0 challenges, you get an extra challenge. And then every single inning in extra innings, everyone starts with 1 challenge. I guess if you have 2, you stay with 2. And like I was saying earlier, the Brewers, and that causes strategy because teams don't want you challenging at certain points, because if you waste your challenge in the second inning and then you get into the bottom of the 9th and there's a controversial call and you can't challenge, you're going to feel like a big fucking idiot. So what the Brewers did is they had this system where they had a red card and a green card, and they would keep it in the dugout. So I guess the analytics people figured out the most optimal times to use their challenges. In the second inning, they might put up the red card, so no matter what, no challenge. If it's the 4th inning and it's a 3-2 game, they deem that an acceptable time to challenge, so put up the green card. So they're not telling you whether or not the ball was a strike, they're just telling you whether or not it's a good time to challenge based on the score, how many innings are left, and whatnot. That was deemed illegal. So the Brewers already caught cheating. Bad start to the season for them. The zone is now 17 inches wide. So we got really a good exact, finally we got a strike zone. We finally got a strike zone. Zone is 17 inches wide. That is the exact width of the plate. Now, that's a little weird to me because if you have longer arms, like Altuve's strike zone is the same distance horizontally as Aaron Judge. Should that be the case?
Horizontally, we've always been told like the width of the plate, right?
Yes.
So are you suggesting that Jose Altuve, he comes up to the plate and they put a smaller home plate on the plate?
No. Okay, listen, Mitchell. They don't need to change the size of the plate. I can see why that would be harder for the umpire because you are gauging the plate. You see a peripheral vision. But why does the strike zone change vertically based on your height, but horizontally it's the same? Altuve's rocking with 3-inch arms and Judge has got 40-inch arms. Why is their width the same?
It's probably the benchmark. They were like, oh, well, we can tell from this part to this part. But then with the players like Aaron Judge and Jose Altuve, they're like 14 inches apart. You good?
I'm good. You good?
Okay.
No, don't get distracted by me.
Looked like you almost tipped over.
I had to take out my Zen.
How much leeway is there for the batter to stand? They have like what? Like, I don't know how big that zone is.
What zone?
The batter's box.
Like they can stand closer or further away from the...
Yeah, there's a batter's box. You see the batter's box with the chalk. You got to stay within the lines. I think that's also a gray area because if your foot's on the line, they're probably not going to even say anything usually.
I think that's why you wouldn't have to change like the width of the strike zone because that shouldn't really matter.
Okay, well, debunked by Jack Schwartz.
You know what I mean? Because you could just
move back and forth.
You would stand like wherever you want the bat.
But that doesn't change. No matter how close or far away you stand from the plate, the width of the strike zone stays the same. It's always going to be where that plate is. The strike zone does not change based on where you stand in the box because it's based on your height, which would not be affected by how far you are from the plate, and it's based on the size of the plate, 17 inches. Some players will stay in further from the plate because maybe they like inside pitches more, so they get jammed a lot so that they have more room to hit inside.
There are other guys like Ozzy Albies on the Braves. When he hits right-handed, when he like kicks his leg up as he's about to swing, his kneecap is like right over the plate. So some guys just like being right on top of the plate. But yeah, the strike zone doesn't change if you're right on top of the plate or like back to the dugout.
Jack's wheels are spinning with that. We did not help him at all. The explanation
no, it's not
was
that I
not
don't
good.
understand. I'm trying to explain that it's like there's two variables. There's two variables that affect the width and the height. One is how tall you are, and then one is essentially manipulated by how close you are standing to the plate.
And we're telling you that is not the case.
No, but never mind. It's too hard to explain what I mean, I think.
But you think it should be?
No, I just think if the player can manipulate that, then they wouldn't have to change the strike zone, because it's not like you're factoring like how wide is this guy, you know? But if you're talking about how long their arms are, anyway, never mind.
Could we clear that up? So the top of the zone is now determined by 54.5% of a player's height. The bottom of the zone is 27% of the batter's height. So if you are 100 inches tall, the bottom of the strike zone is 27 inches from your feet, and the top of the strike zone is 54.5 inches from your feet. So it depends on your height. So now every player has to get measured, and a lot of insecure baseball players apparently, because everyone's height is getting changed. 8 players in the Yankees had their heights changed. Bo Naylor got 3 inches shorter. Alex Bregman went from 6 feet to 5'10". Ooh! Gavin Lux, 6'2 to 5'11". Buddy. Whew. Justin Turner called him out, and he tells him to leave him alone. Oh my gosh. And then Shohei Ohtani goes from Mitchell, you know this, right?
They started measuring players last year, but I think now that ABS is a thing, everybody started paying attention to heights. Shohei Ohtani was 6'4". Then last year he got measured and he was 6'3". This year they measured him again and now he's 6'4" again.
So, heights are changing. So far, there's been 4.1 challenges per game. These challenges have taken about 13.87 seconds onto each game. So I guess that's good. Per challenge, sorry. So the average game is getting 57 seconds longer because of ABS. Not bad. And it's rare, but sometimes the ABS glitches. So there is a small chance. There's a 1 in 88,000 chance that the ABS will not work. Could you imagine in a tie game, bottom of the ninth, guy ABS's it, fucks up the call, and we're like, sorry. Powered by T-Mobile. Didn't fucking work this time. T-Mobile, what are you doing? So 1 in every 88,000 times, T-Mobile will fuck up. So far, 50% of pitches get overturned, and so it's about, you got about a half and half chance of getting it right so far, and 60% of ejections were tied to striking balls. So we're going to see a lot less ejections theoretically, which kind of sucks, but it's kind of good. You know, you want to see the stars in, but maybe not as many ejections. So they're going to get the call right, but there's going to be less freakouts on the field. So with the good comes the bad. You're not going to see as many Lou Pinellas screaming in the face, calling a guy a piece of shit, using the U word. Don't use the U word. If you use the U word, you get ejected. So that ties a bow in the ABS. New rule, new season, new rule. Seems to be a good development. Everyone seems happy with it. Not a lot of controversy yet.
I mean, how do you feel about ABS though?
I'm fine with it, bro. I mean, I like how it's not every call. I like how it's a challenge system. I like how they put it on the screen. It's going to be a nice little added layer, some more tension. You know, you got to wait for that 5 seconds. Was that a strike or not? I'm glad I didn't have it when the Dominican was playing the U.S. Glad that wasn't there because of Mason Miller's strike 3. But I think it's going to be good. Everyone's going to be happy. It's going to be the best season of all time.